This is the fifth and final video in the series for Education 150 on creating an Excel gradebook. In this one, we're going to look at conditional formatting and creating a chart. Both of these are ways that you can use visualization to do a quick analysis of your data and really see some patterns that can help you inform instruction. So we're going to start with conditional formatting. And conditional formatting is very easy to put on, but don't get caught in the trap of putting conditional formatting on unlike items. I'm on my homework sheet and I have 3 homework assignments that are all worth 10 points, which is great because I can take all the data, all the student data, because it's out of 10, out of 10, and out of 10, and apply conditional formatting on the whole thing. Now, I'm going up to my conditional formatting area on the ribbon, and you have lots of options. You can have data bars, color scales, or icon sets. It doesn't matter to me which one you use as long as you've got something that will give you a nice clear visual, whether you like it in shapes or whether you like it in colors. I'm going to do the color scales for this one. I'm used to this one with red and green and yellow. So I'm going to click on this one, and you can see, you might think at first something is wrong, but actually the issue is that people didn't really do very well on homework 3, and I got a very clear visual of that. I had the numbers in there, but somehow putting these color scales on it, making Excel do it for me actually, gives me an instant idea that, uh-oh, I better go over homework 3 before we do the final chapter test. So that's the whole reason for doing conditional formatting. It shows you patterns that might not be so clearly visible when just looking at the numbers. I'm going to go over to my quizzes area, and you can see that I also have 1, 2, and 3 quizzes that are all worth 10 points. So if they're all out of the same points, I'm going to do the same thing again. Select the data, go to conditional formatting, go to color scales, and do that. And again, I had the same issue with quiz 3 was a lot lower than the other 2 quizzes. So again, something happened at the end of this unit that I'm going to have to go back and look at. Also, D'Agostino seemed like maybe he didn't do as well as some of the other students, so I might want to talk to him. All right, now if I go to my test one, I actually have 3 tests that are each worth different values. So the first test was only worth 40 points, second was worth 45, third was worth 50 points. In this case, if I try to do conditional formatting on all of them, you're going to see what happens here, and that is that I get this kind of skewed value again, but it doesn't make sense in this case because, for example, coffee, she got a 39 out of 40, and yet it's showing that she didn't have a very good result, right? So I think something is wrong with my conditional formatting, and that is because conditional formatting takes the lowest value and the highest value of the set and then arranges the colors accordingly. Well, if I've got this one out of 50, of course, even high grades in this one are going to look low compared to 50. So I can't do that. So I'm going to use my undo, which is up here on the left, to kind of take that off and give it another shot. What I need to do in this case is only do one set at a time. These are out of 40, total possible 40. I'm going to use this one. For this conditional formatting, I'm still going to use the color scales. I'll use another one a little bit later on. And then I have to do this set right here with the color scales. And then finally this set. Now you can see the color distribution makes a lot more sense because within each set I can see who did well on the test and who did not do so well. Okay, now if I go to my totals area, I can do the same thing, but of course I have to do it one at a time. Conditional formatting, I'm looking at those totals, I'm doing this one, and this one was worth 30 points altogether. Again, conditional formatting, and I can even do conditional formatting on my totals. I'm actually going to take off the shading so that I can do a nice conditional formatting on here, and this time I'm going to use one of the other ones. I'm going to use the icon sets, sort of like this check exclamation point X, so I'm going to use that one. It looks like everybody was doing pretty well except, as I feared, for D'Agostino, who seems to be a little bit behind on everything, so I think I'm going to have to pull him aside and have a little talk. He actually ended up with an 81%, where everybody else was almost 90 or above. So that's how the scales worked out. So conditional formatting can really give you that quick view. The other thing that can give you a quick view is to make a chart with your student data. So I'm going to go onto one of these that doesn't have too much on it. I think I'll try the test sheet, and I'm going to make a chart that shows me how the students did on all their tests. So let's see. In order to do that, I want to hide how they did on their individual tests and only see how they did on their final grade for all the tests combined. So if remember how to hide the columns, I have to go up here to the top, drag over on the column header, right click, and choose hide. Okay, now I have what I need, and this right here is not the only thing that I need. I don't only need their totals. If I make a chart out of just their totals, Excel is not going to know automatically who to link it up to. I need to indicate to Excel that I want the names linked up to their results. In order to do that, remember, Excel is very obedient if you're clear with your directions. So make sure when you're selecting the data that after you hide your columns, you select both the student names and their results. So you'll end up having 10 cells here to make your chart out of not just these 5. Now, once I have these selected, I'm going to go up to the Insert menu because I'm inserting a chart. So I'm going to the Insert menu, and I will choose the first option here, which is Insert a column or a bar chart. Kind of like bar charts, so I'm going to go over to my bar chart here, and I have this nice chart. I'm going to move it over so I can still see my wrapped text, and you can see it worked perfectly. I've got the student names, and then I've got their achievement right here. Now, the only thing I would want you to fix is chart title, because chart title is not going to be that helpful. I just double clicked in there, and I'm going to delete chart title, and I'm going to say this is test totals, something that indicates what this chart is. Okay, I'm not going to format it, not going to worry about that. And if I click outside it, I can see, and that's all you need to do. I can really just see very clearly here again. Another way of looking at it, that Anderson is doing really well and D'Agostino is kind of falling behind. So I may want to pair those up together, or I may have to take D'Agostino out and see if I can get, because his value is quite a bit lower now, I can see, than everybody else's. So I really want to have a talk with him. And that is it for Excel data analysis.